Welcome back to WSAV News 3 today at 11. 2 years ago, we took you to McIntosh County to the unincorporated community of Harris Neck. For more than 80 years, it was home to a prosperous, self-sufficient, close-knit town of more than 75 black families, direct descendants of formerly enslaved West Africans who remained on the islands after the Civil War. But in the summer of 1942, everything changed. During World War II, the federal government, by means of eminent domain, forcibly seized Harris Neck, more than 2,600 acres, to build an Army airfield. Residents were promised the land would be returned to them after the war, but it never was. While the fight for Harris Neck continues, a new perspective of preservation is emerging through the art of one young woman who's using the soil of her ancestors to educate the masses about plants that are native to her heritage.
Right there are the oyster cages, and those are for oyster farming.
25-year-old Mya Timmons is proud of her Gullah Geechee ancestry. A descendant of formerly enslaved Africans who once called Harris Neck home, Mya is the great-granddaughter of William Timmons, founder of Timmons Oyster Company, a family business established in the early 1900s that once sat on 300 acres of land.
He had the oyster factory. And then after 1942, when the diaspora happened, when they came in, the government came in through, took the land through eminent domain. After then, my granddad, we call him Granddaddy Sonny, but his actual name is Edgar Timmons Sr. And then he picked up the business and he mainly did oysters. Then in 2010, that's when my dad, Jerome Timmons, he started the business back up under the name Harris Neck Seafood.
The current company, forced to move from its original location during the government takeover, rests on a sliver of property the family once owned. Mya is the office secretary, filling orders from local restaurants and residents who've been patrons for generations. This is her inheritance, her goal to keep her family and community's legacy alive through her gift of drawing. You see, Mya is also a freelance illustrator who connects her culture through art. It's somewhat ironic, though, that she finds solace and is often inspired by frequent walks through her neighborhood to the Harris Neck National Wildlife Refuge, an area where those who came before her once thrived.
It's because we live on the coast, and like 30 years, those blue crabs and those oysters is what, helped my family to survive all those years. In order, it gave jobs as well as, it put food on the table.
Though generations removed, for Mya, it's still a heavy burden to bear, imagining a world her ancestors were forced to leave behind.
It's a thought we always have, is like, what, if it didn't happen, what would this community have actually look like? And so as time goes on, as people like my generation and, further move away, there won't be, Harris Neck, I'm getting a little sad.
But there are plants which have coincidentally breathed new life and a new perspective into protecting history. Through the University of Georgia Sea Grant, Mya is showcasing native vegetation and its importance to Gullah Geechee culture by means of a coloring book.
In 2021, we joined that project and we were given the task to go out into the community and interview community members and family members, a part of the Gullah Geechee community, about plants. And then as we talked to our family members, they started remembering. My dad brought his first plant was Life Everlasting. And so from there, for our immediate family, we created a plant list. And then we started, branching out into other communities like Riceboro and Sapelo and going up to South Carolina. In the beginning, we're okay, well, how do we reach a younger audience? Because the ultimate goal of that project, which is the conserving ecologically and culturally important plants in coastal Georgia ecosystems, the main goal was to create a plant guide that would be freely available to the public, featuring these Gullah Geechee plants, with their common name to their scientific binomial, so that those plants can be conserved as well as the history of the plants could be preserved.
3 years ago, Mya created a 40-page publication, bridging the old Harris Neck with the new.
The book features 6 plants from the Gullah Geechee Plant Guide. Those 6 plants are deer tongue, life everlasting, mullein, sassafras, Spanish moss, and sweetgrass. I created personifications of each of those plants to help tell their story and or their uses. And for the character designs, I kind of got like inspiration from like family members, like when it comes to like clothing and like just like the facial features and everything. For one character, his name is Papa Otis, and he's a fisherman. And it's like a direct tie to like my family and their background, with, dealing with, the seafood industry.
The books were distributed for free in area schools in hopes of educating the masses.
I guess my hope is to just, share the story of Harris Neck in my way, through my art. And like, while my family members are still here, let them be able to see it,
Today, Mya is putting the finishing touches on her latest project, a deluxe coloring and activity book about shellfish harvesting, paying homage to her family's legacy.
Mya's latest book will be available for purchase soon. You can also see her incredible work at the Tybee Island Marine Science Center, where she painted a mural featuring her family as sustainable fishermen as part of its Gullah Geechee exhibit. Mya was also recently given the Future Trailblazer Award by the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor during their second annual Gullah convening. Later this month, we invite you to tune in to our Honoring Black History special. Join me on Saturday, February 28th at 7 p.m. right here on WSAV for more inspiring and emotional stories of trailblazers who've left an enduring mark on our community.